Clock in, clock in. Black guy that just walked in.
Yeah. He already dead, there ain't no need to check his vitals, bitch. He already dead, there ain't no need to check his vitals. Yeah, crunch time, yeah, nigga, it's lunch time. Let go, crunch time, yeah, nigga, it's lunch time. Yeah, crunch time, yeah, nigga, it's lunch time. Let go, crunch time, yeah, nigga, it's lunch time. He dead.
Team Black got to stand up, man. Yo. Now, obviously, for me, you, and everybody going through this case right now, this gotta be the most confusing thing going on right now. Y'all know Melly's attorneys are looking towards a mistrial. Now, me personally, do I think a mistrial is a good idea? I would say it is a good idea due to the fact that, you feel me, they've been hearing too much BS. Like, the jury been hearing a lot of stuff where they gonna end up judging Melly. But at the same time, I don't know, bro. This jury right here could have been in Melly's favor. The next one probably not, though, you know? So it is them that like tossing a coin. But right now, we got a big stepper right now. You feel what I'm saying? With some advice for Melly. You feel me? And this OJ Simpson lawyer who helped him beat the case. Let's see what he got to say about this Melly case.
In the context of this message, this individual is reaching out, asking if Mr. Demmons is good after he's been tagged in multiple social media posts about this drive-through. This shooting. And Mr. Demmons responds very succinctly, I did that.
Shh.
All right,
When I seen that, I am wondering how they gonna explain that situation, because that is a message that they have yet to explain. They pretty much are denying everything.
Professor, how do you fight back against that?
Well, that's hard to fight against because that is almost a summary of the prior evidence. The prior evidence is all circumstantial. And here you have a statement, a direct statement. It's ambiguous, to be sure. And if the statement alone were introduced into evidence, it could be interpreted in multiple ways. And remember, too, that proof beyond a reasonable doubt doesn't require that each piece of evidence establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. This wouldn't do that. It requires that the evidence all taken together proves beyond a reasonable doubt. And if I'm the prosecutor, I use that. It's not a confession by any means. It's a misnomer to call it a confession. Use that piece of evidence which may constitute something close to an admission, not a confession, something that could be interpreted as incriminating. And I would use that to tie together the other circumstantial evidence. And
no lie, what he's saying so far makes a lot of sense. And what really makes that message a head scratcher is because when I think about Tory Lanez case, his case was kind of similar. They used the confession that wasn't really a confession, but it was on the phone. They used that to really convict him. So that low-key showed me how important this message that Melly sent is.
You know, when you get evidence from the mouth, pen, or email of somebody themselves, it's far more compelling than evidence directed against them by other people. This really does put also a burden on the defendant to explain. And that's one thing as a defense attorney you never want, because that may incline the jury to say, gee, this is something he could explain. Let's hear from him. And if he doesn't take the stand, obviously, that can be, although the jury is instructed never to infer guilt from the failure to take the stand, that could, taken together with everything else, become an important piece of evidence.
I feel as well that the defense has to explain that. And I don't know how they explain it unless they call an expert in something to talk about social media, and maybe he's just, you know, maybe this is all bluster, or maybe he's joking. I have no clue. So how do you explain that if you don't want your client taking the stand?
Very difficult. I would not put an expert on. If you put an expert on, it just highlights the fact, why do you need an expert? Why don't you put the defendant on the stand to explain? What do you need a third party to explain? So I would not put an expert on. I would either, if you could, and the facts, I don't know enough about the facts to know whether there's any possibility of putting a defendant on the stand. But if not, I think then the burden falls to the defense lawyer to try to offer an explanation, which you're entitled to do in closing argument. And so, but it's risky. It's risky. There's no perfect way of responding to a piece of evidence like that. There's an old stuffed fish experience when people have a stuffed fish on their mantle, and the plaque says, "I'd still be swimming if I had only kept my mouth shut."
I still be swimming.
And I'm sure the defense attorney is saying that right now. If only he hadn't written that on social media. If he hadn't said that, in that case, it's not your mouth shut; it's your, obviously, social media.
And Twitter fingers.
But that is damning. It's not by itself conclusive, and that's why it's not a confession. But taken together with other circumstantial evidence, it could help put context, as the prosecutor said it, put context on the other evidence.
Low-key hearing O.J. Simpson, lawyer, explain how important it is for them to explain that message got me thinking, damn, can that message be something very important, just like that phone call Tory Lanez made was important? Is it that big of a deal? Can they really use that to make all the other evidence look factual? I don't know, man. But one thing I can say is explaining that, telling the truth or not, look some type of way, man. But y'all don't forget to let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments below. And don't forget to send me anything you might think is interesting to look at. Catch y'all in the next video.